Hello, folks, and welcome back to Progressive Politics. As the 2022 elections close in, voters need information, and you've come to the perfect place to discuss progressive politics.
Tear down that wall between separation of church and state. Apparently, 61% of GOP voters now say they support tearing down the wall of separation between church and state. Thoughts, boys?
I don't know about y'all, but this just, it's honestly just a really, they're creating a problem that doesn't completely exist, right? And making it out of nowhere.
Well, it's like, what was this country founded on? The separation of church and state, religious freedom, and also no taxation without representation. But apparently we're just forgetting about all of those things, but yet we can seem to remember that the Second Amendment has always been there, and that has to stay true to law. But separation of church and state can slowly diminish away. That's not acceptable.
I mean, a lot of my early organizing was in church-state separation issues, and actually most of this stuff came about in the early 20th century as sort of a response to communism and some other stuff. I mean, In God We Trust wasn't put on the money or wasn't the motto until the 50s. So really all of this stuff is a very recent creation. It's a large portion of a small group, but overall it's a relatively small group. At the end of the article it says by a solid 62 to 38% margin, people are opposed to declaring us a Christian nation. And if you read back really through, even with Republicans going back to Reagan and Eisenhower and Lincoln, pluralism was a celebrated value. We are a nation of a melting pot, so to speak, even though I know that term is sort of loaded now. But, we really are a nation that tries to combine a bunch of different beliefs and figure out a way to make it work. So it's a little scary. It's definitely a very large segment of one party, but jail deaths are really a nationwide scourge. And Oklahoma, of course, ranks near the top. We have the Oklahoma County Jail is, if not one of the deadliest county jails in the country. And that said, even the Department of Justice really doesn't have any idea how bad it is. So, there was an article in The Appeal. DOJ admits it has no idea how many people die in law enforcement custody. Thousands of deaths in jails, prisons, and police custody have gone unaccounted in recent years. Now the DOJ is calling for changes to federal law. There's an argument, I guess you could say, in Oklahoma County right now about, who's responsible. Is it the jail trust and the management of the jail? Is it, the fact that we overcrowd our jails? My thing is Oklahoma County has been experiencing jail deaths for years. Back when the sheriff ran it, they were just better at keeping it quiet. So I would be really interested to see federal law change, but Oklahoma County Jail has been under federal investigation for 10 years, So these are not new problems, and we should definitely know the answers to these questions, and we should be, more importantly, doing something about it.
Right. And the jail hostage situation, it was Curtis Williams. He was asking for things like the water to be fixed in the showers. He's asking for free food or clean food to eat that's not covered in bugs and mold. A place to sleep that's not on the floor of a cell that's meant for 2 people that has 3 people in it with standing water on the ground that's toxic with who knows how many freaking chemicals. And then the death that happened last month, it was the guy that last year we found out he had been tortured by the jail staff by playing Baby Shark on repeat for 36 freaking hours. They're well, the jail's understaffed, so we just need more people. Well, it's if we bring in more people, who's to say that those people are actually qualified for the job that they're going to do, and they're going to actually treat the detainees with respect? Because these are not inmates. These are not people who have been charged yet. They are awaiting trial. Tulsa County District Attorney Steve Kunzweiler was stabbed multiple times by his daughter in an apparent mental health crisis. So the things that Steve Kunzweiler is accepting for his daughter, not being booked, not having a mugshot, because of an inter-family dispute, will that same set of rules be applied to people who find themselves in similar situations, but their parents might not be a district attorney?
They did end up arresting his daughter. No mugshots or anything like that. Not that we're for posting people's mugshots. But I do think there is like a real concern here about fairness. I mean, this is probably going to get transferred to another district attorney, but like there is this sort of thin blue line thing where it's like cops and DAs and folks in law enforcement all look out for each other. And, you know, stories like this are really common. I mean, the former labor commissioner got stabbed to death by his son who was experiencing a mental health crisis. Many families in Oklahoma have experienced this, but often their loved ones wind up with assault with a deadly weapon charges. If they're on drugs at the same time, drug charges, they end up getting prosecuted and shoved through the criminal justice system. And, you know, I'm just very skeptical that Steve Kunzweiler is going to experience that same level of treatment. Like, she will probably get, you know, second, third, fourth chances. And
of really bad and potentially worse DAs. Kevin Calvi, the Republican in Oklahoma County who was running for district attorney, recently had a fundraiser with a whole bunch of big name Republicans. We got a couple people on here: Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell, former OKC Mayor Mick Cornett, Governor Frank Keating, Barry Switzer. Why does everybody call Barry Switzer for their shit? And Clay Bennett.
Wait, who's Barry Switzer for those who don't know?
Barry Switzer is a former coach of the OU football team, very popular. Like, everybody who loves to, like, do anything in politics is like, I would love Barry Switzer's information. Barry Switzer ain't shit. I'm sorry.
So most of these names are expected. The one that was, I feel like, maybe kind of a curveball was Sue Ann Arnall. Mm-hmm. Well, we know that her and Calvi were on the jail trust together. It makes sense in that way.
So this technique in politics is often referred to as hedging, where it's like you're ending up like where you're playing both sides of the field, right? I haven't seen Sue Ann show up on any of Vicky Behenna's expenditure reports, which, you know, back in 2018, a lot of donors gave to both Mick Cornett and Drew Edmondson. But it's fascinating to me that somebody who created this multi-million-dollar institution that is Divergena, that actually helps people, is also donating to the same guy who wants to put more people into the system. Don't vote for Kevin Calvi on November 8th.
Real merger of like the ultra far right. I mean, Frank Keating quit OCPA because they weren't conservative enough and because they were for criminal justice reform. So I mean, think about that. He left because they endorsed a state question that would have done criminal justice reform. But it's just like, it's basically, you've got a bunch of moderate Republicans, even some longtime Democrats. I mean, Billy Coyle ran for 5th District way back before Kendra Horn did. So you got all these people backing a super far right Republican in Kevin Calvi. And I think they're making a very bad miscalculation. I mean, they think they can control him. He's going to get in there, have incredible power, and odds are he's going to use it very badly. So I anticipate he'll be as bad or worse than Prater. His corruption will just be slightly different. I think Stitt dropped a tweet, post, whatever, where he is actively cosplaying Soldier, recreating their response to a school shooting with his Save Oklahoma Schools or whatever. Secure Oklahoma Schools, sorry. So, yeah, here. Oh, it was an OHP post. That's who did it. Governor Kevin Stitt got a first-hand look and a short tutorial this week on the training we're doing as part of his executive order, Mission Secure Our Schools. This valuable training with the National Center for Biomedical Research and Training is ensuring all law enforcement in Oklahoma learn the same techniques and will respond to school shootings or any active shooter situation in the same manner. If you're responding to a shooting, you're already too late. People are already dead and dying. This is the biggest waste of time and energy and resources. We should not be figuring out how to respond to shootings. We should be stopping shootings from happening in the first place. We are the only country this crap happens. The more we invest in stupid stuff like this is just delaying till we get to a reasonable solution, which is looking at gun violence, looking at violence generally, looking at mental health, all the things that we know cause shootings. This is just a way too late reaction, and of course it's a fantastic photo op for Stitt to run around pretending to be a soldier. You know the term going postal?
Yeah.
Oklahoma. It was a post office in Edmond. We had one of the first big mass shootings where a person showed up and committed an act of workplace violence. But like that is literally where it comes from. is a shooting at a post office in Edmond. So again, that was 20, 30 years ago. Like, maybe we should try something different because this shit ain't working.
But then you have people who have American flags as their profile picture saying things like, I have no doubt in my mind that Governor Stitt would not hesitate to act if he was ever put in a position where he needed to enter a school to save children. I doubt there are very many other governors who would do the same. It's just like, well, is that what we want from a governor? Is that what we're looking for? Someone who's going to go in and stop school shootings that probably are happening hundreds of miles away from wherever he's at that exact moment.
Sarah Stitt could stop these shootings with her car.
If she just drove
it
into
may
the
just
schools
take
when they
a
started.
few more government vehicles to get the job done.
Ugh. But the memes write themselves with these photos. I saw someone share one of the photos and said, when you walk into the school and smell CRT.
Election year bigotry is raising its ugly head. The state legislature went back into session to a special session to distribute ARPA funds, which is the American Rescue Plan funds. But while they're there, they had to target trans kids. Stitt's comms creature continues to lie about gender-affirming care for trans youth. Insane. It's wild that this even needs to be said. We're talking about permanently sterilizing children who can then never be biological parents, removing the womb of a 13-year-old girl, castrating young boys, abusive and wrong.
Give it me. Then circumcision should be illegal in the state of Oklahoma, if that's truly what you believe.
There was about 30 or 40 million dollars of ARPA funding that was going to go to OU Medical, but the legislature filed a law to say if you want to, get that money, you can't do gender affirming care. I think they found, and then John Waldron did a huge tweet thread on it. But basically what they found throughout this deal is only 5 people have gotten hormone therapy. So it's like they're not even doing surgeries. I mean, Carly Atchison is just pure straight up lying. Anyway, it ended up passing. It was like a few more people didn't vote for it. In fact, some of the far-right Republicans didn't vote for it, I think because it wasn't extreme enough. It didn't make it illegal to get gender-affirming care, period. But I think all the Democrats voted against it. But anyway, it's just pure bigotry with lies and no basis in reality.
This is a very red state, so the chances of you getting a doctor who fully supports your transition and actually wants to do a good job is very, very slim. So you could be getting a surgery that could get botched that you just have to go and get redone in a year.
Well, Carly Atchison, you suck. You're a liar. You literally just lie on camera and on your tweets, and that's all she does. If they start going about saying that, oh no, we're not going to give money to institutions that are going to be doing gender affirmative care, what does that look like for things like Sooner Care and insurance? Thank you for watching this week's episode of Progressive Politics. We need your help in reaching 500 YouTube subscribers and 5,000 TikTok followers. We post new episodes and content each and every week, but most importantly, we need to see you at the polls in November. See you there.